All right, now that we're recording, my name's Derek Burleson. I'm one of the trainers here at First Due. I've also got Clint on with me. I've been with the company for a couple months now, and he's shadowing me just as my safety net, if you will, as we go through some of the rules of engagement here. If you got any questions while we're going through, feel free to just jump in, ask the questions. Obviously, this training is for you guys, so we want to make it the best possible for you. So what we're going to do, we're going to start and just kind of go through the pre-plan module here. I'm currently in your department's test daily. You guys are familiar with test daily, correct?
Huh? You were sitting in here when I went over test daily, like 3 months ago.
Uh, All right. Well, I'll just do a quick little introduction into Test Daily here. Test Daily is a site that takes all of your data. So this one last night, sometime around midnight, 1 o'clock, depending on the time zones, it screened or essentially captured all of your data and dumped it in here. And it will be in here until tonight, right? So you can see down the right-hand side, these are calls that you guys had that were still open when this happened. So this is all of your data. Anything I do in here today and mess with will not be saved outside of today. So tonight at midnight, it will flash over into your, it'll take that current data from your live account and then push it in here. You also have the test monthly site that will then refresh at the beginning of the month, each month. So a good place to go in, especially doing pre-plans where you want to go in and kind of get familiar with kind of how the things work, but you've got a couple days that you need to work on it. Test monthly is a good place to go to kind of keep that data as you guys are working through the kind of process here. Um, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to jump over and we're going to go to the pre-plan module, and I'm going to kind of work from the bottom, working our way up, just kind of covering through some of it. The setup is super simple. There's not a whole lot to the setup for the admin types that have it. You've got feet or meters, and then this one here, which you guys have set here, of how do you want the pre-plans to work. If you send a crew out today to do a pre-plan, the data that they put in, the way that you guys have it set is it will be hidden until somebody goes in and actually approves it. If you select this box up here, it will show that information immediately as soon as they hit submit for it. It's going to show that data in there. So that's how you got it set. Your regional layers, looks like y'all worked a little bit of the regional layers of putting those on, and any of them shared with you, you'll have. And then just the validation. So the setup on the pre-plan stuff is super, super simple. Your pre-plan unit types. So what we call unit types are our little icons, right? So this is where you can come in here and you can have, the code, the name, and then the picture itself. You can come through and favorite these, and we'll see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of these as favorites just so you can see how they break out differently on your list. But you can come in here and I can add a new pre-plan type. I give it a name. I can have my file type that I want to, if I want to load a picture into this, I want to give it a little angry fire hydrant or something. So then it will actually come up on there. I can change the background color and I can save this as an alert tile or just a little pre-plan icon there. So you can build out specific ones for you. One good thing about this is there's a ton of versatility in this, but sometimes with departments and SOPs, you want to drive the stuff down. I'll give you an example here. If I come down and search alarm, I'm sorry, hit the wrong one here. Let's search that out. So you see we've got an alarm panel with this icon, and then we have, the fire alarm and control panel looking like this. So sometimes using a department SOP, this is a good place that you guys can go in and kind of drive home of these are the icons we want to use. These are the ones we don't want to use. If we get an SOP wrote up and you then don't want to use specific icons, if you don't want to use, or you want to use this control panel by this one, I can actually come in, click the X and disable this icon. So now I will not be able to use this icon. None of the guys going out doing these pre-plans will be able to use it. It won't even show up on the list. Speaking of the SOPs, if you're trying to look and, kind of get some ideas for SOPs, because I'm not sure if y'all have any, but you can come down here to this support and then go up to our knowledge base. I'm going to open the knowledge base up, and inside the knowledge base, I can come into my pre-plans, and you'll see some sample SOPs and SOGs. So I can select on here. Here's some from other departments out there that you can reference and look into. When I open this up, I can come down and download this, take a look at it, and it gives the SOPs and kind of goes through and it talks about for address locations, this is the icons we want to use. Here's how we want to have these set up. And you can build these SOPs and or borrow or tactfully acquire some of these SOPs here of how you would want to set your department up. So all those live there in the knowledge base if that's something you want to reference and kind of use there. So those are our pre-plan units. Expiring items is exactly what it sounds like. If you got some pre-plans coming up ready to expire, they're going to populate in here. So it's a quick little way to pop in and see what's expiring. Y'all don't have any right now, so you're not going to see any. We'll look at the pre-plan list. So the pre-plan list is very, very basic. Okay, this sort function wise, you can search address, business name, when created, and then the status of what status that pre-plan is actually in. Right, so I can go and look through any of my pending approvals. I can look through anything that's in a draft, rejected, published, or archived. Other than that, I can change my pagination here of how many I'm actually going to see on the page itself, and I can download them. But from here, if I click on the blue highlighted address, this is going to take me into the pre-plan itself. So if I select this one, we'll open it in a new screen here. It's going to take me out to the responder app. It's going to take me to that occupancy there where I can view it. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. If I come over to the pencil, this is where I can actually go in and edit the pre-plan itself, right? So if I select that one, it's going to take me, now I'm in the pre-plan module on the pre-plan map, and now I'm going to be able to go through and edit the pre-plan, which we're going to do here shortly. But that is a way to jump in there. I also have the ability, sorry, off my list. I have the ability to delete and or I can look at the history. So if I select the history, I can come back through and see this is when it was imported in at this date and time, this person had done it, and then it was archived and walked over. So you can kind of look at the history of them. Okay, and obviously I can see the status. So that's my pre-plan list kind of out in a nutshell. I do have the ability to come over here and show that pre-plan map. If I select that, it's just going to take me out to my pre-plan map. Nothing crazy, nothing big. It's just going to pop me out to the map. And that's the pre-plan list. I come up here to my assigned pre-plans. So me as a user, which I'm logged in as a department admin here. So obviously I don't have any assigned to me, but if I have any pre-plans assigned to me, this is where they're going to live. So any of the ones popping up, I can come in and then search through and do an advanced search and kind of look at whatever's been assigned to me. Now the pre-plan organizer, and we'll come back to the map here in a second. So the organizer is definitely a more robust way to kind of go in, and you can kind of drill down stuff a lot more. You do have the save views like you have across other things in the first two platform where you can have save views, and we'll talk about that when we get set up here. You can see I've got filters. So the last time fire department admin was in here, these are sticky filters. So they searched out, and those will kind of sit there each time we go back in. When I update this view, I log out, log back in. Those sticky filters are still going to be sitting there. I do have the ability to come down here and I can tell it that I want to search for more things. So obviously property type, occupancy status, pre-plan status, floors above and below, any target hazards I can look into. So we can sort this list down as we need. We can look at assigned users and or teams. We can see, hey, I want anything assigned to apparatus team, A1, captains, drivers, whatever the case. I can search via due dates, when they were completed, what cycle they're on, if they're set up on a 1, 2, 3, or 5-year cycle. Are these occupancies inspectable? So we would select yes or no. Our inspection districts. So here's one. So obviously you guys got this all set up, which is great. So station 1, A shift pre-planned district, I can select that one out. I can look at, y'all don't have inspection zones set up, but we can go through and search these out. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just.
Okay. So I can hit apply. It's going to search out. So right now we're showing station 1 A shift, which I don't see that in my list. So I have the ability to come over here and show more columns. So I can come down, find my inspection districts, put that in there, and now that's showing up, because through here I can add and or subtract things from this list that I want to see. So I can use that there. So right now I've got station 1 A shift. If I wanted to, I could come in here, hit this save button, and I'm going to create a save view over here. So we'll call this station 1 A shift. I can save this. Now in my drop down, I will have station 1 A shift, and it's quickly going to take me in. You can see where I added that inspection district. It's going to show up here. If I go back to the regular view, that has gone away because I added that in and saved it into my save view, and now it's showing up. So you can modify these save views as it kind of works for you guys. Getting down below the gray line here, obviously I've got all my addresses down here. If I come to the blue address here in the organizer, this is going to take me into the actual occupancy record. And I'm going to just open this top one here, kick it out into a new tab. So the occupancy record lives in the pre-plan module, but is used across other modules within First Due. So you guys have inspections. So where the inspections gets the occupancy information, this is where it's pulling from. So both pre-plans and inspections, permits, any of those all kind of funnel into this occupancy record. I can come in here, permission dependent, and come in and go ahead and edit my occupancy information. I can update my contacts. This will take me, and so I can work the pre-plan from here. Not a huge fan of doing it from here just because of the real estate. I'd rather do it out on the bigger map so I just have more space to be able to do that. But I can come in and view any inspections and or start an inspection from here. I can look at any previous violations, and if there's been any incidents, they will populate here, and then you can kind of look at the log of anything that's been done here in this occupancy record. So that's just where the two kind of connect in and across. Jump back over to my pre-plan organizer here. So occupancy record by clicking on the blue address. I can come in here and edit whether it's a parent or a child, or that primary or secondary address. And what that is if you have a strip center and it's got one address, it's 2200, but you have different suites in there. You can have that overall address set in there and then have your secondary addresses for suite A, suite B, suite C, or however they're listed out. We got a business name and then assigned to teams. So this is where you have these assigned out to your districts. You can assign these to teams. So I can select on the pencil here. I can tell it I want to be assigned to a team, and that's where I can come in and select apparatus team Alpha 1, or however you guys have it set up. You can assign them to actual teams here, and I hit assign, and then it will show what team it's actually assigned to. So then that's when it will populate in the my assigned if I assign it to the individuals. Your cycle is exactly what it sounds like. We can put what cycle frame this recurring on. I can update the due date from here, so I can select in, move my map out, and or be able to use the month or the year, move my map out, drop an assignment date, and save that in there. I can see my published status, who the last one was completed by, when it was completed, and then there's that inspection district we were looking at. I also have bulk functions. As soon as I click on the first one, you see that opens up, but I can multi-select here. I can hit my bulk actions. From here, I can mark all the ones that I see as target hazards or unmark them as target hazards. I can assign multiple. So anything I've got drilled up here of A shift, station one, I can assign all of these to, and it's going to do the exact same thing. It's going to take me out, let me assign them to that team, and you'll see it does it in bulk here. I also have the ability to change the due date, change the cycle. I can print all of these and or show the tiles. So if we've got tiles hidden underneath these or any of the tiles that come up, which we'll see more as we go forward, we can just view those tiles out if that's what we want to see. But for the most part, that is our occupancy list. Okay, I do have the ability to come over here and go to the map. I can select the map view here, and it's going to pull up the map. So what this is displaying is everything on this list right now. So right now I only had 20 I think it's 20 occupancies up, and it's going to show that list there, and you'll be able to see that. I can click over to satellite view and kind of take a look at it. I can make this list bigger by showing more, clicking out to my map. Oh, it might be a test daily thing, but it should show you the ones that are there on the map. So that's my pre-plan organizer list. The next thing we're going to do is actually jump over to the pre-plan map here. Before we jump into heavy into using the map, I'll kind of give you a quick overview of what we're seeing on the map, and then I'm going to pop over into my training account and kind of show you the capabilities of the pre-plan module, and then we'll come back into yours and I'll show you the functionality of the pre-plan module. So obviously right here, I'm on the map. I can search. If I start searching out 1820, so there's obviously your address there. And you can see I've got a little greenhouse. These are occupancies inside inside of your first due. The other red G's, these are Google addresses. So if I start typing these out, then it's going to look for the actual whether it's an occupancy record or a Google address. So you'll be able to tell the difference here. So you got that search function up here. I do have the ability to change my satellite view with or without labels, so I can take the labels off and it pulls it all off if that's how you want to view it. I do have the ability to click over into the ArcGIS. If you have the ArcGIS files loaded that has a bunch of the extra data, the waterways and anything else that you might have in your ArcGIS folders, you'll be able to view that in, but we'll go back to the view. And then on the right-hand side, we've got our stacks, and we're going to go through this a little more here in a second. But I have the ability here to come over here and show my layers. So if I select on that, it's going to open up. This is where I can see my secondary addresses. So you can see that other little house will pop up here, and I can come and hover over that. This is one it looks like that y'all built out for Joe's Sushi. I can view my hydrants or take my hydrants away. I can look at my pre-planned units. Those are those little icons. I can look at my hazmats, any annotations, and then I've got my pre-planned layers down in here. This is where I can turn that Santa Claus and or that firework regional pre-plan on. You can display that on the map, and then when you don't need it, you can then take it away from here. I also have the ability to come in here and add a regional pre-plan from this view here.
Derek, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So before you were in that search window on your top left, and when you put in an address, it preloaded like yep right there. So the green icons showing up, you said they were assigned to your first due. Do you mean if I'm logged in, it will be green if those pre-plans are assigned to me, or are they assigned to the
no
department as well?
Yeah, for your department. So anything within your department that has an occupancy record. So as I back out, and you can see all these green houses, so these are all locations with occupancy records. So if I know the address to any one of these, I start typing this in. So that's 1701. So if I go 1701, it will then pull up now all of these which that all looks like out on the Boulevard Square. This address is the one we've got here. So you have another, and you've got your suite A, B, C. So your parent and child address there. So these are all occupancy records that you and your department have set up in there, not specifically me as a user.
Right, so as far as the ones, if I can, the best way for me to look at what is assigned to me is just in my pre-plan list and then just sort by my name, is that?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, if you go into my assigned pre-plans, if they are assigned to you, that's where they will populate. Or if you go into that pre-plan organizer, because if you have it assigned to an individual, which is not a bad thing, depending on how your department is set up. If you've got an inspection team or somebody that goes out and these are the guys doing all the pre-plans, it's a lot easier. If you're doing it by station one, A shift, then assigning it out that way, I think the best way is then to go in and look in the view, because if you've got guys rotating in and out on those shifts, or somebody is floating in or doing a trade or something like that, it will not populate for them for that day just because they're riding in that position for the day.
right,
But
okay.
they would be able to go in and, hey, I'm A shift engine one today. Let me select and see what is due, and then you can go in and view it from there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Other things you got over here on the side, we've got our Google icons here. So if we've got, let me try to find, we got any of the Google icons where you can toggle them on. There we go. So all of the little Google, Circle K's and Fuji and everything else, you can toggle those on or off to make them come off the map. If I select here, it's going to take me into my actual my pre-planned list. So by selecting here, it's going to pop me back over just the same if I come over here and select my pre-planned list. I do have a ruler that I can use, and we're going to show how to use that. And then if I select this little bullseye right here, it's going to take me to my location. Right, so it's going to center the map on my location. So if you're out doing any of this stuff and you're using a tablet or something like that, it will then focus in on where you at. I do have the ability to use the little Google Pegman because all of our maps here, for the most part, are all Google based. So I can grab my little Pegman. As soon as I grab him, you can see those blue lines that showed up, and I will be able to drag and drop him and see that street view and be able to look around and view the things from the street view if I need to. I can select back on this little arrow here. It takes me back out. Depending on your location, how Google looks to view, I will tell you, I am in rural North Carolina, and our maps do not zoom in super far, just because of where our locations are. Like, I'm not getting this close. It's kind of stalling out maybe about here or so. There are also some buildings and things that Clint and I were actually talking about the other day. You can take this Google Pegman, and sometimes you can actually go into buildings. You'll see like a little dot in there. And you can actually go into those buildings, which is quite interesting. From here, I can also zoom in and zoom out. And if you see here, where I'm at, I can zoom in and it says buildings, right? I can select in, there's building, there's house level. So it's telling me the level, room level, and that's going to come into play here as we start going through and building these out and deciding where we want to put those pre-planned units or those little icons at what level and what zoom level. So here's a street level, streets, neighborhood, town, right? And when I'm going to see those actual icons come out. So that's the kind of basis of the map we're living in. I'm going to jump over into my training account. I'm going to kind of show you that full capability, and then we'll jump back in over here. So right now I'm in my training account. What I've done is I've dispatched a structure fire to this address. So you can see I've got the little fire icon here for the incident address, and it's populated here. We've got this alarm here at this address. So we get dispatched out automatically on my map, tablet, whatever I'm using, this is going to pop up. This is where I can select in. Obviously, I can update my status. That's more on the responder side here. But from here, I can view my incident details, the building story, which we'll talk about it as we go through and build into that pre-plan. That story would populate here, closest hydrants, units, and status logs. The thing we want to look at here is down here. Depending on your permissions, whether you have the edit pre-plan function or not, but the dashboard is where we want to look at. Right now, you can see I've got a whole bunch of icons popping up on this because they're on the ground level. But I can hit that dashboard and these things are going to come up. I can slide these back and forth. These are those alert icons we were talking about. And it can get a little compact here, especially if you're running off an iPad. I do have the ability to come out and expand this out, and it's going to take over the whole screen. I can see my address. I can see this listed out. I can look and see for the primary or secondary addresses. If you have the permissions, you can come in and edit the pre-plan and or look at the occupancy record. This does have the function that if you've got a story built out, I can actually hit the play button. I don't think you guys can hear that, but I could hear it in my headphones where it will actually start reading this to you. I do have all these alert icons come up that we can place on the map and or off the side of the map that will populate here. So for example, we've got our hoarder house here and we've got a note, hey, apartment 201 is a hoarder apartment. Good things to know as we start, running a call to, especially to a location like this, like, hey, if I'm going to 201, I know what I'm kind of looking at, right? I've got my hazmat location. Excuse me. I've got hazmat. I can see that I've got some chlorine. It's in a Connex box in the back of the building. I've got some other hazmat locations. My FDC location and types, so it's a combination. It's on the north side of the parking lot. It's threaded at a 2.5, right? Pre-plans, so just notes that we have built in here. This is a 55-year-old retirement community, apartments and condos. I've got a couple of premises warnings that, hey, there's potential for alligators out here. That's the same that you'll see over here for this other warning here. Alligators known to be around Knoxbox locations. Hey, this is where it's at. It's keys, serial number, last installed date. It's got keys to all the buildings at the front entrance. Or I've also got another Knoxbox on the entrance of building 300, and it's only got keys for the building 300. My alarm panel, where it's at, what it is, contact information, my water shutoffs. It tells you where they're all located at, and then same with my stairwells, right? So I can view all that. I also have the ability to load in other images, right? So for example, on this one, we've got some floor plans loaded in here. So you can select in and kind of look at the floor plans, and you can drive this down as granular as you want for occupancies like this. Or you can just put, some general photos that will be seen up here. So that's that. If I select on the occupancy details, it's going to take me out into the occupancy details. But this is something that I can view those tiles. I also have the ability here as we start talking about our layers, right? So, or levels. So I'm on the ground level. Ground is the default for first due. Whenever I just have my map on, anything on the ground, I'm going to see these icons, right? If I'm just driving past here and I'm looking at my map, I'm going to see all these icons. Obviously, some more showing up and less as I zoom in and out, because that has to do with that zoom view that we were talking about. So as these show up in the map on here, I also have the ability to come in and change my layers. So if I zoom in a little bit here, we'll get kind of centered, and I can go to my building layout. So I've got this building layout. I've got different color coordinations. I've put my unit numbers listed in here. So if I know I'm going to building 200 and room 217, I can quickly look at it, and I'm not, kind of slowed down in the process, because while I'm en route, I can be sitting in the front seat looking on the iPad and actually having a general idea of where that unit is in this complex. Another layer we've got built out is sprinkler zones. So you can see we've got our zones busted out. We've got our water shutoff valves. We've still got our exits, our stairwells listed out. Hazmat. So we talked about some chlorine. So here's that chlorine icon that we've got listed. I do have the ability to put a picture in. Hey, it's inside this Connex box. And then I've set up some evac zones. So here's my 500 feet and my 1,000 feet ring that goes around that. So it's a good visual, so you can kind of look at from the location of that hazmat where that evac zone might be. I also have an evac level, so if we're trying to evacuate the building for anything, this is something that we've set up with them. This is where we can expect that these people will end up going for evacuations. So these are just some of the things that you can do with this pre-plan. These pre-plans can be set up as robust as you want or as minimal as you need. But this is just some of the capabilities here for them. And we'll show this one out. I'm going to jump back over into your pre-plan and we'll go to your station just so that we can. Okay, so we come over here. So obviously we've got 3 little houses here. So we'll look, this is that Joe's Sushi that looks like y'all built out. There's your actual fire station. So just being here in the pre-plan map, I have these icons pop up. I can access the pre-plan. I can click on that dashboard that we were just seeing. So it's going to pop out. It's going to take me back over into the responder view to look at that where I can see that come out, right? There's my occupancy details. I'm going to flip back, get set back up. Okay. Here's where I can access my pre-plan. Depending on your roles and permissions, whether you can clone the address as an admin, I have the ability to clone that address, and that's where I would then be able to make a child and or a secondary address underneath the main address. I can also start an inspection. So your inspection teams, if they're going out, they can just select on it here from the map and start an inspection. We're going to go ahead and access the pre-plan. So access the pre-plan, and you're going to see it drops us in on this little house, which is my occupancy details. As I update these occupancy details, it will go into that occupancy record that is, like I talked about, was shared with the inspection side. So you can go in business name, any descriptions, business styles, and we've got all these fields that we're going to, go in and fill out as much data as possible. Okay, so we come in, we can fill those out, occupancy status, what we are, we can fill these out, property value, year built, code year, the inspection cycle, how we're doing the inspection cycle off of it. Is it a target hazard zone? If I select that, I can select what type of target hazard we're seeing. Is it inspectable? So as I click, is it inspectable? This is one of those search functions going back to my pre-plan organizer that I can then filter out, hey, I just want to see all of my inspectable occupancies. This is a way that you could then select on it. Are they inspectable? For sale, dangerous building, if it's a high hazard IBC, defensive ops only, a condo, your height classification. Do you want it dispatched out like a high rise? You can select all that stuff and any of your index information. We get into the area down here. It looks like you guys already have this built in, but if I go in and change any of this stuff here, so if I change this to 100, you see it's actually moving or correcting and doing the math for us out in meters and yards. Once I've got my length and my width, it's mapping my area per floor. If I come in and tell this, I've got 1 floor above grade, I've got 0 floors below grade, and I give it my ceiling height. We'll give this a 10-foot ceiling height. You also it gives me my total volume. Okay, so it's doing all the math for us so that we don't have to sit here, or I don't have to sit here and count on my fingers and toes to do the math for me. Okay. Excuse me. Down in the next tab, we've got our access that we can go in and update. Number of units, that's just a numerical. Property access code. So this is something, if you do have like a door code or something like that, you can put that in there. Any access notes. So we can write in here that the keypad is located at the front door. We can just leave that in there. Like I said, we can have that access code if you have a location with that. Is there a fence? Yes or no? Number of entry and exit points. Are they fortified? Same with your entry and exit. Any access problems you might have, you can note those in there. And you'll be able to just text those in and those will populate. Your construction type, looks like you guys have already started filling this out, but you can go in here and update your exterior and interior wall finishes, your roof types. You can put what type of roof it is. what's the decking, the roof coverings, any ventilation problems you might have, you can just note them in here. Is there solar panels on it? What type of floor you have? Any of the flooring materials. And then any basement access notes for your area. Occupancy loads, we can go in here and start filling out our occupancy loads. If that's something we have. The nice thing is my engine company's out and doing basic pre-plan and stuff. They might not have this, but then my inspection team comes in and they go ahead and update occupancy loads. This is going to then populate on that pre-plan. Needed flyer flow. So we've got this area per floor built out, and that's taking all the math from up higher that we put in our data. We've got this and it's pulled it down. So I can come in, are there sprinklers? If this building is sprinklered, what's the fuel load? And then I can hit the calculate needed fuel load. So now it's doing the math for me and it's giving me that ISO needed fire flow. The next tab is our resources. So any technical rescue resources, foam, tanker, resources will come in. When I was talking about that little paragraph or summary story, there are not all of this stuff pulls into that story because it would just be a little overload there. But I do have warning and notes here. These will pull in. So if I start typing in any warnings or notes that I might have for this location, when we get enough of the data and enough of the stuff filled out, it will then populate into that story. So we can put those in there. And then same with the risk assessment, we can come in, get all our data filled out, and we can kind of calculate for the risk score. I can go ahead and select this out, and it's going to tell me, hey, I need all of this data to be filled out before it's going to give me that risk score, just for you guys. So that's our occupancy details. To the left here, you can see the occupancy itself. So again, this is dependent on your roles and permissions that you have. If you can go in here, me as an admin, I can come in here and edit the address, complex name, the inspection zone and or district. I can put it as a the address of the building is the same. I can deselect it, put in a billing address if you have that. Any special directions, and then if it's a shared location. So that's where that's out. Now, the next bit across the top here, you're going to see I have my units. Those are those little icons. I can add them from here, but I can also add them from the top right. And I prefer to do it over here from the top right, but I do have the ability. The big difference is here, if I go ahead and add a pre-plan type here, it's just words. I don't actually get to see the picture. But those two that we favorited will sit right up at the top. Okay, but I can select these. I can select this out. A test date is essentially, I can put the date in here of when the last time this was updated. I can give a description off of this and or set an expiration. So ASI is probably not the best one to use here. We can find one of these. Let's go. So if it's some sort of a biohazard, I can put in here that, hey, I inspected this yesterday. Right? It was there yesterday. I can give a description of what it is, where it is, whatever the case. I can set an expiration date. I set that expiration date. I can say that, hey, the property owners told me that by the end of the month, this thing is going to be gone. Right? So I can set it in here that, hey, it's going to be here till the end of the month. Now, with the expiration date set, I have the ability to select either auto remove or user remove. If I set this to auto remove on the 28th of February, this biohazard icon that we're going to drop on the map here in a second is just going to go away. It is going to automatically just go away. If you need someone to go in and do a user review that, hey, we're going to expire this, but I need to send somebody else out to verify to make sure that it actually went away, because no one would ever fib to us and tell us that, you know, that hazmat is only there temporarily. You can leave it into user review. It will pop as expired, and then you can go out and see it, and then you can manually remove it. This is where we can drag those files and drag and drop. So I can grab it from another screen and drop it in, or I can just select here, and then it's going to populate where I can come in and grab an image and drop in. Those zoom levels, so I started hinting on that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So here's that street, building, buildings, building, house, or room view. So I can select at what zoom level does this populate on the map. Because I've done this on the left-hand side, when I select add, you will see it comes over here as unmapped. Okay, so it will sit here unmapped. I do have the ability to click on this and drag this over. Some people would prefer that some of these icons sit unmapped. So when I go into the pre-plan, then it's just going to show here, the data will be there, but there's not going to be an actual icon on the map. I do have the ability, like I said, I can drag and drop this and say, hey, that is right there. So then it will show, and it's got the name and the last test date. I can come in and click edit. I can make this icon bigger or smaller. I can duplicate it and or I can delete it. On the left-hand side, you see I've got that unit there. It shows when it's expiring and the review. I can click back into this and then I can update the name if I need to, or the type icon, and I can change what level. And we're going to talk about that here in a second of adding levels. And I can go ahead and update any of that data. So we'll leave that there for right now. Doing the same thing over here on this side, I'll actually be able to see the image, and we're going to walk that here in a second. I also got my hazmat, which is the same on this side. I've got my contact details, so we've got contact information. We can go ahead and put an ownership into, and we can add multiple contacts in there just by selecting it, the contact name, who it is, what they are, their name, company name, address, and any notes. You know, bill from accounting will take 30 minutes to get here if called, you know, whatever the case, you can add that in. This paperclip, that is our place to add any attachments. So that's where I can go ahead and add in some of those floor plans. I can add in multiple floor plans here. We can add them into, and those are the ones that are going to show up on the bottom when we expand that out for the dashboard. This next section is our levels. So here's where we can come in and create those levels. Like we saw on this last one here, where I've got ground, building, sprinklers. This is where we can add those levels. So if I want to come in here and add a new level, so we can add in just a name for a pre-plan. This is something I typically like to do, and I'll explain that here in a second. I can put this as a building layout. I can put in my sprinkler zones. Get that hazmat. All right, so I can build up these levels, and now I can then come in and rearrange them as I want to see them, right? So depending on your policy and what you want to see, this is what you can do. If you notice the gray or the ground level, I cannot edit or change it. Again, this is defaulted by First Due across the board. You cannot change this. That is your default level that you're always going to see, right? But I can adjust these other ones around. So just me and Derek's opinion. Other people have difference of opinions. I'm a huge fan of, I don't want anything on my ground level unless it's something that's going to hurt myself or my crew off the rip, right? I just don't like the big map clutter, especially with smaller buildings, of just having too many icons on it. Plus, if I'm driving down the road, my map is trying to load anything on your ground level as I'm driving down the road, and passing occupancies is trying to load all those things on the map. So just something for you guys to, however you want to work it. At my department, all of my stuff I've got set up into an actual pre-plan layer so that my guys can then go and look right, and then they click on the pre-plan when they want to see all that stuff. But that'll be up to you and your department how you guys want to set it up. But I'll kind of show that to you. So we've got our layers built out. Now the last one is my little pencil, which is my annotations, and it's the same over here. So that's where I'm going to actually get to go in and work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move back over to the right-hand side. We're going to drop a few of these pre-planned units, and then we're going to work through the icons, or excuse me, the annotations. So if I come over here, select that little plus sign, these are my units. So I've got my favorites right up at the top. So again, if you're using the SOP and you favorited out a bunch of them, they're going to live right there. Or I can just scroll down the list and I can find the little picture of what I want to see. So for example, if I want to take that A side and B side, and I want to list this out, I can then come in and search. I just type in side, I select it, it's blue. Now when I come over on the map, you can see I've got this little crosshairs, little plus sign. I can drop it on the map, it drops it there. It's kind of small, I want to select on it, and I want to make it bigger, right? You see it pops up on this left-hand side. Or I can come in and edit or click on the name over here. Either way, it doesn't matter. So once I'm over here, you can see it automatically fell onto the ground level. I do have the ability to change this. I can put it on any level I want, or if I hold the control key, I can put it on multiple levels. So this one I'm going to put on ground and pre-plan level. If you want to put a test date, expiration, anything like that, you can. And then I can reset my zoom layers of when I'm actually going to see this, right? So if I set this up at the street level and update this, now it's in there. That's my A side. Now, when I switch over to our pre-plan, you see the A's there. That hazmat icon went away. My building layout, now it's gone. So depending on the layer of what's going to show. Now, as I start dropping other things on this map, that one automatically defaulted to the ground level because I'm on the ground level. If I come in here and go to the pre-plan level, now anything I drop on the map, and I can make this one bigger, it's automatically going to be on the pre-plan level because that's where I'm sitting at as I'm building these out. Okay, I can grab the C side, and you can obviously make these as robust as you want. Sometimes the map gets a little too cluttered, and I don't need to see all this. Maybe just reference in my A side because my guys are smart enough to figure out where's A, B, C. It's up to you guys. I don't know why I put that over there. But we can put any of those icons in there. We can come down, clear that list back out, and then we can go. I've got above ground fuel tanks. Hey, yep, I fill my fire trucks up right back here. I can put this in here, list that out. I can come in and edit it and do the exact same stuff, right? If I got a picture for it, I can go ahead and drop a picture in if we need to. I don't think I got a picture in there of a fuel tank. But you can put pictures in there for each one of the icons. So that is a way to go ahead and do this, right? So you can go through exits, basements, boiler rooms. You know, obviously the world is your oyster to come in and be able to put as much or as little data on this map as you guys need. The next thing we're going to talk about here is adding into my annotations. So once I select on annotations, it gives me that new list on the left-hand side. And then I can come over here at the top. I've just got a basic line. So I can take this line. I'm on the pre-plan level. So this is going to pop up on the pre-plan level. We can take this line and drop it down to here, and it just gives me a line. You can see the line keeps wanting to move no matter what I do. If I come back and reselect that white circle right there, it will close it out. I've got a line annotation. I can select here. Now I can give it a name. It is highly recommended to give it a name, especially once I start building a whole bunch of annotations like we have over here. It gets really robust, and you just have line annotation 1, 2, 3, 4, and trying to figure out what that line is. So we can give it a name. We'll just call this line 1 just for ease of what we're doing here. I get to select my zoom layer, and then I can change my colors out. This is where the SOPs really kind of come in to where you can say, hey, I always want you to make these lines orange, right? I always want it to be a width or the line width of 4. So anytime they do this, it's always going to be the same across, right? I can adjust my transparency level, right? So 100% transparency obviously is going away, and a 0% transparency is going to cover anything over the map. And then I can come in here and select what layer or level that lives on. I update that out. You'll see it's just called line 1 because that's what I called it. Okay, so that's our basic line. And I do have the ability to come in and it will turn for me. So I can come in and select a line, and I can let it turn, and I can do all sorts of stuff with this line and let it build out, right? The next thing we're going to look at here is my polygons. So I can grab a polygon. I can come out here. This is my apparatus bay, and I want to work on my building layout. So maybe I want to come out here and go to my building layout. I'm going to go to my polygon. I'm going to go to my polygon. and I'm going to say this is my bay, and I can draw this out as it suits me on the map, right? I'll zoom in just a little bit here. So we've got our polygon here. I can come in and edit this. I can give it a name. So this is my bay polygon. I can talk about my fill color. So I can fill this in if I need to. So if I want to make this aqua color, and then how thick. If I come in here and make it 0% transparent, obviously I can't see anything on my roof anymore. It's just a box. A good place to be is kind of in that 60, 70, depending on the colors you're using. But now I can still see roof coverings and stuff like that. But it will list out here on the box. I pick my zoom layer. I can change my line color of what I want it to be in my line thickness and what layer I want to live on. So I can set that one up. Then I can come straight back over and start building another one. Maybe these are my office spaces and I want them built out as such. So I can come in here. I've got my next poly. These are my office spaces. Build that out, and I can change the color if I need to, of what I want to see with them, and kind of work the process all the way across. Right. I'm not going to go too far in this. Like, I think you guys get the gist of it. Okay. So we'll update that out. Next thing we got is a circle. Then we got a square, text, and a ruler. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna jump into the text. The square is very rigid. It works the exact same way. I'm not going to cover it too much there because again, it works the exact same way. We'll talk the text real quick. I want to put some text down and label this as my bay floor. I can just select in here. It comes up. What do I want this to say? I want to say this is my bay floor. I can select it out. Now I've got the text bay floor and it just says text annotation, right? So I select on that. Now I can give it a name. So this is my bay floor. Spelled that wrong. In the description, that's what's actually showing up in the text field. So bay floor, this is where I can change this out, and you see as I change it, it changed it on the map. So I can just leave this as my bay floor layout. Whatever you want to change it to. You can change your font size here. So obviously I can make it bigger or smaller as needed. I can change my colors. So let's make this one, we'll make it yellow. If I want a shadow behind it, we'll make that red to kind of pop. I can change the rotation angle on it. The fill color kind of puts a background on it. I'm not a huge fan of the fill color. But it is what it is. Sometimes it works depending on the contrast of what you're working with here, but we can set that in there or take it out. Test Daily is going to give me a bit of a fit right now because I took it out, but you'll get the gist of it. So I can set that, and then I can move this around as I need, and I can label everything out. All right, so that's going to sit in there. Let me see if I can make it back. Nope. It's still going to hide in there. So I can give it a name. Next thing we're going to look at is the circle. So if we've got that hazmat space that was on the pre-plan, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to move that also onto my hazmat layer. We're going to update. So now when I go to my hazmat layer, now that icon is still showing. So if this hazard or hazmat layer that we have has that big ring like we saw on ours, how I'm going to go about setting that 500 feet ring, right? So I'm going to come over here to my annotations and I'm going to go to my ruler. Once I've got my ruler, I'm going to select where that hazard is, and now I can drag out, right? Oh, I can come out and I can see where I'm at. Hey, I did a pretty good job guessing there, right? I get to about my 500 foot, and that's my measurement. I come up here and hit save measurement. Now you see it added the text and the line. So added on both for me. So if I come in here to the text, or excuse me, into the text, I was close enough. So we'll move that down to say 500 feet. And again, I can change my font here. We'll make this one pretty big. Updating my colors as I see it. I want that to also show or I want it to show on my hazmat layer. We'll let it sit. So I know there's my distance and my text. Now I'm going to come over here and grab that circle. I'm going to come from my hazmat ring. I'm going to back out, go to the end of that line. So now I know on my map, that is my 500-foot ring. So I come up here to my circle. I put this as a hazmat circle, my fill color. So we can make it that, let's see, let's go fuchsia. That was a good one. We'll set the transparency at 70 so you still can see what's inside of it. You can change your line width or the line color if you need to. We can update that. Now, this line that I used, my measuring line, I don't need anymore, right? So I can take that line and let's just go ahead and delete that out. There we go. So the line went away. Now I'm going to move this and I can just reset that. Now that's on my map. And we now have got that hazmat layer built down. That I can come back to my pre-plan. It's completely gone. I can go to my ground layer, hazmat layer, building layout, and you can kind of set these up. So then when you get dispatched out, you get to then select what you're looking at across the board. Right. For the most part, the only thing I didn't cover here was an arrow. Obviously, I can set up an arrow. Well, let's get the arrow. I can click, and it will just give me the arrow. Once I click back on the head, it will kind of show you if you're trying to build out. You know, you've got staging areas. If this is on fire and I want my apparatus to stage and I want you to flow in this way or something like that, that is a way to do it too. Maybe not the way, but a way. Are there any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. So from here, depending on how you guys are going to set up, I would save this, you know, I can save this as a draft, or if you've got the permissions, you can go ahead and publish it, or you can submit it for approval. So I can publish this out. Now this is going to publish out. I can select who's actually publishing it. So obviously that's who I'm logged into. I can come in here and select that it's somebody else. Put this in here. Now this pre-plan is going to be published. You see these icons are now just set up because they're on the ground level. So as I zoom out, because of the zoom layers, you can see where they show up at different times. But that, for the most part, is your pre-plan module. If you guys don't have any questions, and if Clint doesn't have anything else to add in, I can go ahead and stop the recording.
All good here.
Okay. You guys good? I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. Oop, nope. Looks like I stopped sharing my screen instead of stopping the recording.